Now, Pavarotti was a good friend.
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I'm your host, Pavarotti. I'm here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. As a disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment purposes. These are my opinions. I'm not here to slander anyone. So let's get started. You want to hear a big old boom, bam, bam. Nope, drip drop gets the booms, I get the bams. Well, when I released my video on the timeline last night, a familiar face popped up in my comments, a lady named Nina Kelly. And you know what, I have the utmost respect for Nina. She's been around a long time. She used to be in my comments a lot. Somewhere along the line, she used to advocate for Kohberger's innocence, and somewhere along the line, she kind of flipped and went the Gilter route. And you may have seen her on, Unfiltered Lucky and some other channels. And I think she really has a good heart, and she really tries to dive in and dig deep. But last night in my comments, I noticed that she was digging into the TF stuff about, how he was arrested at the Dollar General and all this, and I didn't feel like addressing it in my comments. So I just blocked her. But I'm glad she did that. And thank you, Nina, because I blocked you so I could actually address the issues about TF and those arrests in a video where I could really explain it better. Because you're not the only one that's had those concerns. Other people have had those concerns about TF as well when, looking at how he was arrested and everything. So what I wanted to do in this one is go through and explain in detail how I'm right. But as I was going through and putting together the material to make this video, I discovered something new. And it just slaps me in the face when I discover these things. So folks, sit back and relax. I'm about to give you a bam, I assure you. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is TF's arrest, and this is out of an article, but it's talking about his arrest in, which arrest is this? Oh goodness, this is back 2011. Okay, so this is where TF and TR were arrested in 2011, and I'm going to show you what, as I really went through this originally, what made me kick up an eyebrow on how this isn't the first time that these guys have turned evidence on folks. And I'll show you in this one. As you can see, 2 Moscow residents have been arrested after a search of their Robinson Park trailer home. Wednesday netted 14 G's of suspected crisp meth, according to a news release. Moscow police arrested TR 37 and TM 28. You can see this is a while back, after officers obtained a search warrant following an investigation that revealed the two were allegedly using the M in the trailer. And according to police department, in addition to the M, DRUG paraphernalia, baggies, scale, 1 handgun, and 4 rounds of ammunition were seized, the news release said. A small amount of M was also seized from F's person, according to police. The release said no evidence was found in the trailer indicating the M was manufactured there, but TR, her 11-year-old son, was taken into protective custody. TF and TR are being held in the Latah County Jail on felony charges of possession of a controlled substance and injury to a child, and misdemeanor charges of possession of drug paraphernalia. Okay, so that was the one where William Wolford Thompson, he dismissed pretty much all the charges, gave him probation. And here's the thing that I want to point out, because at this time, Mr. TF and Miss TR have had probably 15 felony convictions. And the fact they found them with a handgun and 4 rounds of ammunition, along with the other things, I mean, that is an automatic prison sentence for a felon just to have a handgun in his presence or her presence. That was never even charged in this. So that tells me there's something weird going on with these two and Bill Thompson and their attorney Catherine Mary Mabbitt, in the fact that they just don't seem to go to jail for anything. Okay, so that was the first thing. That's what kind of made my eyebrows kind of perk up. Okay, now this one is when TF was arrested August 7th, 2023 in Whitman County for trafficking again. You see, a 44-year-old homeless man who was arrested last year in Moscow for drug trafficking is back in jail on new narcotics charges. TF was arrested Saturday night by Whitman County deputies near Oakdale. Deputies were called to check on a man who was slumped over in a parked car. After contacting TF, deputies determined that he was wanted on a felony warrant out of Latah County. Deputies were granted a search warrant for his vehicle. They reportedly found around 300 F pills in the car along with METH. He was arrested for possession of a controlled substance with intent to deliver. That should have been trafficking. TF was arrested by Moscow police last fall on a drug trafficking charge. Officers found TF with F and METH. He pleaded guilty to felony drug possession in that case and was placed on probation and ordered to undergo drug treatment by Latah County 2nd District Court Judge John Judge. So he was 300 F pills arrested for in Whitman County, and he was on probation for basically drug trafficking at that time. Let's go to the next one. Okay, and this is just an excerpt from one of his other arrests. It says TF was arrested by Moscow police in mid-September when he was found passed out in a car parked at the Dollar Tree. Officers allegedly found TF with F pills. 52-year-old TR was also arrested for METH trafficking. The case against TR is still pending. Officers determined that TF had been living in Harvard. Okay, so this is what people refer to when they say, well, these guys weren't set up. He was found passed out in his car at a Dollar Tree. Okay, and he was found passed out in his car at some other location the next year. But this guy is passed out in his car and just happens to have trafficking amounts of narcotics with him when that happens. You see, when you start looking at the similarities of these arrests, you can start to see a picture, right? He wasn't just passed out in his car at the Dollar Tree. See, he was informed on by somebody, letting them know that he would be at a certain location with a certain amount of narcotics on him. And so that way, when he's there, the officers involved, because they don't want to paint the picture of somebody set the guy up, they will use these nice little lead-ins like, oh, he was slumped over in a car and we went in and we just happened to check him out and found everything. What they don't tell you is they only found a little bit on him at first, impounded his car, then got a search warrant to go and search his car, and that's when they find the additional items. All right, see, this is the classic set up right here. Somebody set him up. Probably in both cases. He was probably set up again, even though he's a confidential informant out on the street. But let me keep going here, because I'm going to show you what happens on this stuff, right? Here's one more article. All right, deputies from the Whitman County Sheriff's Office were dispatched on Saturday evening to a welfare check in the area of Carter Road. Dispatched for a welfare check, okay? That is code for somebody told the police to go check this guy for a vehicle that had been parked in the same location all day. The driver of the vehicle was reportedly slumped over. It's very similar to his Dollar General arrest. Deputies arrived on the scene, spoke with the driver, who said the vehicle was broke down and he was waiting on a ride from a friend. Okay. Sheriff's office says the driver provided a name to deputies. After further investigation, it was determined the driver of the vehicle was not who he said he was. I bet you they were really interrogating him. Deputies determined his actual identity to be 44-year-old TF, a homeless resident of Moscow. Now, how are you a homeless resident? Number one. What is a homeless resident? You're either homeless or you're a resident, not both. And most of the time, homeless people aren't driving around with about $15,000 worth of narcotics on them. Who currently had a felony warrant for his arrest out of Latah County for prosecution of a controlled substance. Wonder how that was. He keeps a felony warrant for that because he's an informant, and I'll show you. Farley was arrested for his warrant during the search incident. 3 blue F pills were found on his person. He was transported to the Whitman County Jail, booked on his felony warrant out of Idaho. Now, on Sunday, deputies investigated the case further. After receiving more information, a search warrant was granted for TF's vehicle that had been towed from the scene the previous night. Whoa, okay, so again, after receiving more information. Now, listen to this, okay? I want you to listen close, Nina. On Sunday, deputies investigated the case further. Now, why did they investigate it further? After receiving more information from an informant. A search warrant was granted for TF's vehicle that had been towed from the scene the previous night. Deputies executed the search warrant on the vehicle, and during the search, they found 240 blue F pills, balloon containing 34 more, a balloon containing 28 more. He had over 300. That's trafficking again. So he should be in the pit. He's on. How many trafficking charges is this now that carries a minimum 10-year sentence? So he should be put in prison, right? Whitman County's got him dead to rights. What did Whitman County do? Oh, what did Whitman County do? Whitman County sent him straight back to Latah. They didn't prosecute him. In Latah, you can see his judge on. This is July 6th or July 5th, 2023. His judge was Megan Marshall. Sent back to his prosecuting attorney, William Wolford Thompson, with his public defender, Catherine Mary Mabbitt, TF. Okay, what did they do to him? He's on probation and he just got more trafficking charges. What happened to this guy? I know it's got to be something big. Wait a minute. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Court readmitted defendant to probation on previously ordered items of probation with the additional term to participate in and successfully complete treatment of his choice, the Good Samaritan treatment. All right, so he got county jail, 28 days, and effective date is August 1st, 2023. So they put him in rehab. Well, that was nice of them. Goodness, I could be a terror up there and all I'd ever get is rehab, right? Okay, but here's what's weird, okay? Because they let him back out. And that's why we kept seeing TF come in and out of that Latah County jail so many times. Wondering, was he ever going to get sent to prison? Did he go to prison? Did he get out? What happened? But this is what I think is important, and everybody pay close attention because you're going to see a bam right here. Look at this date right here, 4/17/2024. Probation violation on his controlled substance possession that they put him on probation for way back in March of 2023 for the Moscow offense. So he must have violated his probation on April 17th because they snatched him up and they sentenced him to the Idaho Department of Corrections State Prison. Effective date 4/17/2024. Now they gave him 2 years, determinate, indeterminate 3 years. So that's called 2 to 3 years. They credited him for 407 days of time served. Okay, so that's really more like 10 months that he would have to spend in that safety unit at the prison. But let me show you this. If you take this date of 4/17, you add a year to it basically. That puts you at 5/17/2024. Okay, 2025. When is the trial for Kohberger set to start? Isn't it in June of 2025? So he just happens to be sentenced on a probation violation. The guy should have been under the prison. And they did it on April 17th for some reason, and they gave him just enough time in a protective unit in prison to keep him safe until the trial for Kohberger next year. Now, why is this all so important, this 417? Let me show you this. You want a BAM? Here's your BAM. This is the state's response to defendant's alibi. And if the court deems the defendant's supplemental response to be in compliance with requirements of Idaho Code, the state requests additional time pursuant to Idaho Code to prepare a list of witnesses to establish the defendant's presence at the scene of the homicides. To prepare a list of witnesses. This is when Bill Thompson freaked out, said he's going to develop a list of witnesses to establish the defense's presence at the scene of the homicides, which means he was threatening to turn his confidential informant into a cooperating witness right then. And what happened?
Well, from this date right here, when the defense filed that alibi statement on the 17th day of April 2024, you can bet Bill Thompson was prepping those witnesses and getting them ready in case he had to put that list together. Because as you can see right here, the same date that Bill Thompson read that alibi statement is the exact same date that they violated TF's probation and put him in protective custody in that prison right up until the time that the Kohberger trial is scheduled to start. Bam!
So thank you once again for inspiring me to go and dive in deep so I could show you the information that I wanted to show you, but at the same time pick out new stuff that proves my case even further. But before I conclude, there's also been some contention about Ms. Koto. And I've heard people say, you know, she's in prison now for, 4 or 6 years. And how could she be in prison if, you know, she was potentially an informant? And so let's go ahead and address Koto while I'm doing this as well. Okay, so I've gone in depth in previous videos about all of her priors and what happened with her charges on, back in, that she was sentenced for back in September. But one thing that I haven't done for you is continued her story. So let me do this for you, okay? Because I know a lot of people out there are under the impression that, heck, she's been in prison, this whole time. And she's just, serving out her time, and it's all real sad, and it is. But let me show you this, okay? Because those charges that she got on December 19th, her second round of charges after the atrocity, well, here's what happened on those charges, okay? All right, on June 21st of 2023, she was sentenced. Look, determined at 3 years, indeterminate at 4 years. Except her penitentiary was suspended, okay? And this sentence, as you can see, is running concurrent with the other charges in this case. That means those charges that she was sentenced on probation to back in September of 2022, that I contend she had to do something to get that sentence. Well, this new sentence, they're running it concurrent. Concurrent means alongside, okay? Consecutive means they added on to the end. So they suspended her penitentiary. They're running her new charges concurrent with her old charges, and they gave her, again, felony probation for 3 years. You'll see it's June 21st, 2023 through June 21st, 2026. So that means that if it's like I contend in that work that she did for law enforcement, that gave her the golden umbrella to probation for all of these charges, okay? Now, you don't see anything in here about retained jurisdiction into drug court or retained jurisdiction into IDOC. No, she got probation. So that means she fulfilled her duties. They held their end of the bargain Now all she has to do is stay out of trouble, because if she gets in trouble again, then it's not their fault. All right, they're going to treat her like a normal criminal at that point. But there you go. Now, what happened to Miss Koto? Because we know she's not out just walking on the streets now, right? Well, let me show you. Here's what happened. You can see up here, look at this date. Amended felony sentence on February 2nd, 2024. Just a few months back, right? And why was the felony sentence amended? Oh, amended reason is a probation violation. Okay? So, you know what this means, folks? You don't get a probation violation while you're in prison. They don't take you out of prison for a probation violation and then stop your probation and sentence you to prison. That doesn't happen. That means Miss Koto was free. She was walking around free. Everybody thinks she's in prison, but she wasn't. She was walking around free until February 2nd of 2024, okay? And then when she violated her probation, February 2nd of 2024, well, they threw the book at her at this point. You can see down here, they took that 3 years felony probation, they closed it on 2/2/24 because they sentenced her to the penitentiary. Her community service and all that, they don't care. It's closed. So what did she get? How long is she going to be in that penitentiary? Well, it just depends. State prison, Idaho Department of Correction, 2/2/24 is the effective date. They gave her 3 to 4 years. Now you'll see they got 365 days, though, of retained jurisdiction. Well, you can bet that retained jurisdiction is not going to be in the little IDOC facility. And I mean, maybe not. I mean, it's quite possible that retained jurisdiction did put her in a little IDOC facility, but to my knowledge, those facilities aren't still around like they used to be, but maybe they are in Idaho. But she's retained somewhere for 365 days other than the state prison. But again, it's concurrent with her other cases, concurrent with her other charges. So, very interesting. She is in prison now for 3 to 4 years, but her jurisdiction is retained for 365. So, February 2nd, a year from then, will be February 2nd, 2025. And that's 4 months shy of the trial date for Mr. Kohberger. Now, I guess the question that we have to ask, and maybe I need to go back and double check what was going on in February, what they were thinking the trial date would be, because if they had an idea that the trial date may end up being in February instead of June of 2025, then that would put her right there where she needs to be at the time of trial. If not, she's just a few months early for the trial. But that's why Miss Koto is currently sitting in prison. It wasn't because they didn't follow through with the agreement they had with her. They followed through twice, and then she screwed it up. Probation violation. She was walking free until February, folks. So there you have it. Some people out there they just don't want to believe things they just don't want to believe, I guess. I'll continue to try to clear things up for those folks. I know they don't have any idea, a lot of them, of how the system really works. But I can assure you this. If they were to go over there to Moscow, Idaho, all the people that think that these people aren't informants and they're just, going through the system, let them go over there to Moscow, Idaho, and let them have in their possession a felony quantity of narcotics that exceeds the limit of personal use and becomes intent to deliver. Let them do that. Let them get arrested with that, and then let them see what happens. Because what happens is not what y'all think happens. They don't arrest you and take you down to the county jail and book you in and give you a phone call to call your attorney. What typically happens in those cases, because there's an active drug task force in the area, is they will arrest you. Instead of taking you to that county jail, they'll take you to a little rundown house in a very rundown neighborhood and make you think, what in the heck is this? And then they'll take you in that little rundown house and they'll sit you down on an old raggedy couch, and then a guy will come out that resembles a biker, and he will start to interrogate you and say, where did you get it from? Who do you know? These are the charges you're going to face. And then they will start the intimidation process at that point. You may make it to that county jail a little later, depending on what you say. But that's the facts of life. That's the reality of the situation. But anyway, I've said too much in this one. Please, but hope you like that. Bam, though, folks. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Post your comments, your thoughts. Till next time, Kohberger's out.